Okay, so this is going to be going over the week two CAD 100 Spring 2020 reading list. Um, so starting AutoCAD, that is fairly basic. Double click on the AutoCAD application on your desktop, and that will start AutoCAD for you. Next thing, AutoCAD Interface. So I'm going to name these off fairly quickly. Um, and feel free to ask questions if you have any. So I'm going to start at the top left and I'm going to move around the screen. So starting right here, this is going to be your application menu. All of this right here, this is your ribbon. Um, this is your file tabs. So this is the start tab. This is drawing two tab. Drawing two would be replaced with the name of the file that you give it. This is viewport controls. This is going to look different on yours than mine. This is something that you will go over or that will be talked about in the future. All of these vertical lines, this is going to be the y-axis. All of the horizontal lines are the x-axis. The lighter gray lines, the bolder ones, those are the major grid lines. The other darker gray ones that aren't as bold, those are the minor grid lines. This is your coordinate system. This will show you where X and Y is facing. This white box right at the intersection point of your X and Y, that is your origin. That is 0, 0, 0. X equals 0, Y equals 0, Z equals 0. Depending on where you have it, this is your command line. If you grab onto all of these dots, this can be moved, so it can be located anywhere you wanted to. You could have it up at the top. I personally do not prefer that, but because it is hard to move from that point forward. But I prefer it at the bottom. That is just my preference. So that is the command line. These are your model space and layout tabs, or model tabs and layout tabs. That is something that will get talked about in future videos. This down here is your status bar. This shows the status. So you'll notice here, this is your coordinates. This may be turned off on yours. Depends on the defaults. But these are your other various things on there. Now you'll notice on your cursor, there is the horizontal and vertical lines with the square in the middle. That is called your crosshair or cursor, but crosshair is the proper AutoCAD term for that. You will notice that there, for the y-axis, currently I have my grid set to a specific limit, but regardless, you will see a vertical green line and a horizontal X line. That is your X horizontal. That would be considered 0, and for the red X, and then for the green Y line, that would be Y equals 0. And moving along, this is your navigation bar right here. This is your view cube. View cube almost never used. Navigation bar almost never used. This right here is to minimize, maximize, restore, or close a drawing window. Moving along is close. This close is separate from this close here. This close will close your drawing. This close button will close AutoCAD. This is maximize AutoCAD, minimize AutoCAD. This is going to be your info center. This right here, this section here. This is your AutoCAD title bar. So it tells you what application you are using. So specifically for me, I am using Autodesk Civil 3D 2020, and this is the drawing name. And then this is your quick access toolbar. And then these are going to be your various tabs that'll have separate panels in each one of them. You may have more, you may have less. That is just depends on what your presets are set to. So that is AutoCAD Working Space, the interface. When it comes to working in AutoCAD, a lot of what you can do in AutoCAD, you can type. You don't have to click in command line. You can just type, and this will be discussed more. But let's say, for example, let's do L for line, to draw a line. So that is drawing in the command line. So you don't ever have to actually click on it. You could if you wanted to. Certain commands that you will use, you could, if you preferred, you could click on the command line, click different options, but that will be discussed more in the future. So next I'm going to talk about the Start tab. So this is what the Start tab will look like. So this is going to be, these are the various default AutoCAD templates, and a template is a pre-made drawing with pre-made settings. So specific, like there could be metric or standard or things similar to that. And then this is start drawings. This would start a new drawing with the default template that is set for starting a new drawing. This right here is to open files, so you could open files within a directory. This is opening a sheet set. Sheet set can be discussed as another question in the future. And then these are get more templates online and explore sample drawings. Those two would not be discussed. This right here is recent documents. So these are recent drawings that have recently been used and opened on your computer. This is various notifications. Generally talks about tips and updates. And then this is talks about, that is connect. So that is interface. So starting a new drawing. So there is a couple different ways. There's 3 ways that you can do this, or probably more than that, but 3 ways that I am going to show here. So one way that you could do it is by pressing the start drawing, as we discussed before. That is one way, and that would open a new drawing. And in this case, it would be called drawing 3 because it's just going to keep adding drawing. I had previously, before this recording, I had a drawing 1 open, then it'll do a drawing 2, then a drawing 3, and so on. The next way that you could do it is this plus sign right here. That would create a new drawing. So in this case, it is drawing 3. This is using the default AutoCAD that I have set on my computer, which is not the template I typically use, but it is the template that I have set. And then the third way that I will be showing is this right here. This is new drawing in your quick access toolbar. And again, now it will show up as drawing number 4 or drawing 4. Just another note to keep in mind, anytime there next to your drawing name, if there is an asterisk right there, that means that the drawing has not been saved. So always keep that in mind. So moving on to managing multiple documents. So I am opening another drawing. So with AutoCAD, you can have multiple drawings open all at once, and they have a nice convenient way of managing them and sorting through them. So right here I have drawing 5. In the drawing tabs, you can just select whichever drawing you want to be working in, and it will open that drawing for you. So that is managing multiple documents. To close. So if you want to close a drawing, there is a couple ways that you can do that. One of them we have discussed, one of them we have not discussed. So the one we have discussed is this little X right here. That would close the specific drawing, not AutoCAD altogether, just this specific drawing. The other way, the way that I typically do, because I don't feel like ever moving my mouse all the way to this side of the screen, is this right here. This would close your drawing session, not your specific drawing, not the AutoCAD session. So that is how you can close the drawings. And as with AutoCAD, there's always multiple ways, so I'm sure there are more ways that you could do it, but these are the ones that I am going to be discussing. So in terms of basic drawing settings, so some drawing settings that we'll be talking about. Stand by just a second. So what I'll be talking about for this is just model space. I'll be going over what model space is. So you have your layout tabs, your model and layout tabs down below down here. If you ever see something like this where there's like a gray box and whatever color is default on your screen, but a gray or white, whatever color it is, box, then you are in a layout tab. So just for now, go to your model space. So model space is where most all of your drawing is going to be done. This is basically an infinite space that you can work in. You could draw things as small or large as you would like in model space. So yeah, that is, in the future, we will be talking about a layout tab. A layout tab, just to briefly discuss it, that mimics a sheet of paper. So by default, my computer has it for an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So this gray box right here, that mimics an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And again, in the future, you will be talking about viewports, but viewports allows you to see into model space. So you can see the grid that you typically see right here. So that is a quick description of paper space, or of the layout tab. And yeah, so in the future, it would be, in future videos, it will be discussed on the difference between model space and paper space. So next thing we're going to be talking about is grid. And you can see on the reading layout that there is, in parentheses, F7. If you press F7, that turns off your grid. So the other way to turn on and off your grid, because I almost never remember to do F7, because in civil drafting you do not use grid. The other way to do it is this right here. This is grid mode. When it is highlighted blue, that means that grid is on. When it is not blue and it's just gray like everything else, then it is turned off. In the meantime, I'm going to leave mine on. So that is grid. The next thing we're going to talk about is snap. So this is snap mode. When you are using a command and snap mode is turned on, that will make your cursor snap to specific points that you can specify, and I will show you how to specify those momentarily. So as you can see, with that turned on, it is snapping to each corner of these boxes. And you cannot, no matter how hard you try, you will never get it in the middle of those boxes while snap mode is on. I personally don't like snap mode, but it is there and useful in certain circumstances. Okay, so to change your grid and to change your snap settings, right next to the snap mode button there on your status bar, there is the down arrow. If you click on, left click on the down arrow and go to snap settings, that will open a drafting settings dialog box. And specifically what we are going to be talking about is this box right here and this right here. So snap settings. So this is your snap mode that we just went over. So this is specifying the distance that your cursor will snap. So currently it is set to 1/2 inch. So if you were to set it to 1 inch, and you can have it set to equal in X and Y direction, or you could turn that off where it's 0.5 in one direction and 0.5 in the X direction or in the Y direction, and 1 inch in the X direction. So I will go ahead and demonstrate that. We'll do a line. You can see it's going for every line, but going in the X direction, it skips a line. So that is how you can change that. Like I said before, I do not like having snap on, so you will never see me have that on. And then grid spacing. So this is the spacing of your grid. So you can see that it is now smaller, or there's less grid, and the grid spacing is larger. And then this can specify a major line, however many, every 5 minor lines there will be a major line. So that is that, however much you want to specify. I'm going to change this back to 0.5. And there you go. That is grid and snap. So now units, quickly go over units. So I will type in units, and that will open the drawing units dialog box. So we will be going over these two right here. This will be discussed in the future, not right now though. Okay, so for now, so in the length, there is multiple types of units that you can use. Architectural units. This is a sample output here. So it will show for 1.5 inches, it will show 1 space 1/2. And then decimal is typically what civil uses. And that is pretty self-explanatory. It would just be 1.5 for 1.5 inches. Engineering would just have the inches symbol after it. And then there is fractional. And again, that is similar to architectural, but it does not have the inches after it. And then scientific. Scientific is complicated. I do not quite understand much of that. I know that is exponential e to the whatever power, decimal places, whatever that may mean. But I'm going to change that back to decimal. And this allows you precision. AutoCAD allows you to change your precision. So the number of decimal places after, or number of, the precision of points after the decimal. So I am going to set that to 2 decimal places. And then for the angle, there is a couple of these that you can do. There is decimal degrees, minutes, and seconds, gradients, radians, and surveyor's units. So those are the different options. And again, you can change the precision of this. Typically, it is just 0. And then you can change the direction that it is measuring the units. So when the clockwise is unchecked, it is measuring like normal units, so it's going 45 degrees this direction. If you click clockwise, it is going from 0 down this way in the clockwise direction, measuring 45 degrees. So you can see here that it's saying 315 degrees. Okay, and then if you click on direction, you can change the direction control. I have never personally changed this, but this is how you can change it. That is one of the one of the first assignments is changing the direction control. So yeah, that is that there. That is units. Next thing we'll talk about is limits. So in order to see limits, typically when you first open this, the grid will just go forever, go on infinitely in all directions. So to turn that off to where your grid will stop at your limits, you go to Snap Settings. And then down here, you will see Display Grid Beyond Limits, and make sure that is unchecked, that there is no check mark in that box. So to change your limits, you will type in limits. And then first it tells you to specify the lower left corner, which would be your origin, this corner right here. So for this, we will put 0, 0. And then it will ask for your upper right coordinates. So I believe on this specific one, I have it set to 11 by 17. So I'm going to do, just to show that it changes it, I'm going to do 20 by 20. And as you can see, my grid has gotten larger. It is now 20 inches by 20 inches. So that is how you change your limits. So I'm going to change it back to 11 or 17 by 11 is how I had it. 0, 0 for my left corner, lower left corner. And then I'm going to do 17, 11. And there we go. Now it is back to the way I had it before. And next thing we'll be talking about is cancel. And cancel in AutoCAD is the escape key. So let's say you type in L for line and you accidentally start the line command and you did not actually want to do that. If you just hit the escape key, it will cancel the action that you just did. And that is cancel. I personally believe that if you you have to press cancel multiple times. That is factually incorrect. You only have to press it once. Once, maybe twice, depending on the command you are in. But I always like to press it multiple times. And then creating templates. To create a template. So let's say, for example, I have this and I want to change my limits. So I have 0, 0. And then I do 20, 20. So I now want a template so that next time I want to open this drawing with the limits set to 20, 20, then I can, there's a couple ways that you could do it. When you press save, so there's save key here, and this will be discussed more in the future, but that is one way to do it. The other way that I always do is Control S. That will save it, and let's just say desktop, and we'll call this test. And right here where it says AutoCAD 2018 drawing, and in parentheses star.dwg, close parentheses. You will change that to AutoCAD drawing template, in parentheses .dwt, and for whatever reason that likes to change the location. So again, I will make this test and save. And then it will bring up another dialog box for template options. So you could create a description of what it is, and you can have English, you could specify the measurement of it. So English or metric. And then you can save all layers as reconciled. And then you click OK. And now you can see that it created a test.dwt. The file types for two of the basic file types that I'll be talking about in this class are .dwg, which is a drawing file that we use every single time we draw, and a DWT, which is your template file. So that is creating a template. And if you were to save it to your desktop, you can double click on that template and it will open that as a new drawing with those drawing settings. So for example, in this one, if I were to double click on that and open that or start a new drawing with that template, it would open up with my limits set to 20 by 20. Second to last thing is getting help. So one way to do it is up here in the type a keyword or phrase. There's one way you can do it, or if you hit on your keyboard F2, oh, not F2, F1, F1 will bring up this window. This is getting help. This is all of every possible thing that you could wonder about AutoCAD that Autodesk has created and written up. And last but not least, exiting AutoCAD. To do that, there's a couple ways you could do that. So you could do close current drawing, or close all drawings. Or there is exit Autodesk, and it would either say Civil 3D or it would say Autodesk AutoCAD 2020 or 2018, whatever year you have. And my personal preference is this button right here that will close AutoCAD. And that is the week 2 recording.